ends in themselves, because it is the richness of people's lives and not the richness of economics that ultimately is valuable to people, end of quote. Mr. Speaker, from this definition, it can identify several core values. One among them are the expansion of people's freedoms, the enlargement of people's horizons, and the improvement in people's opportunities, among others, can be distilled as well as identified in Budget 2019. In the circumstances, I must reiterate that the conceptual framework within which it must be located is human development. To achieve the overall goal of human development, which is the result of a transformed economy, exhibiting sustained communities inhabited by empowered people living a good life, and several, therefore, measures have been outlined. Mr. Speaker, it is true that an acceptable indicator of economic performance is real gross domestic product, GDP, which can be translated to the development of our stock of human capital. The Honorable Minister of Finance has revealed that real GDP for 2018 is projected to fall short by 0.4%. The possible achievement of 3.4% would, however, be surpassing the 2.1% achieved in 2017. This, no doubt, is good news for all of Guyana. But much more can be achieved and will be achieved in 2019 through the operationalization of the stated measures outlined in this budget. Mr. Speaker, at this junction, I wish to draw attention to a cardinal statement made at paragraph 4.36 of Minister Jordan's presentation. That statement reads, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, that effectiveness of public service delivery hinges on the strength of our national institutions, efficiency in its systems and practice of public service financial management. End of quote. That tells you that it is the need and the work of the regions and the officers, as well as our ministries, that must do the deliverables of what has been promised. I believe that by now it should be well established that the APNU-AFC coalition government has relied heavily on the cooperative societies as institutions of change and of development. As a matter of fact, we regard these enterprises as being endowed with the potential to be able to assist in the transformation of our economy, so that the good life, which eluded many Guyanese for decades, can be fully realized. On previous occasions and at various fora, I directed attention to the precarious and sometimes even perilous state in which we found cooperative societies, inclusive of credit unions, when we took office. The task of rebuilding these institutions from the ground up was not easy. Several challenges, including a lack of interest and lack of knowledge of the ethos and benefits of cooperativism, had to be overcome and replaced with a passion for these societies whose potentials are universally acclaimed. Notwithstanding the constraints, including insufficient funds and human capital, the Cooperative Development Department within the Ministry of Social Protection, in collaboration with the Ghana National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, have revealed the following data as indicators of success. 1, number of societies registered equals to 31. Number of applications for societies to be registered, equal to 25. Number of functioning societies, equal to 150, of which 25 are credit unions. The registration, guidance, and monitoring of these societies are done within the provisions of the effective public services for the sustainable development, as stated in the budget. Mr. Speaker, a critical function of the Cooperative Department is the superintendence of their financial integrity and managerial prudence through the principles and practices of auditing of a very high standard. Our records show that for the year 2018, a total of 33 audits were ordered, of which 20, or 61%, were completed. The shortfall was attributed to tardiness, by which some societies conducted their affairs. The department, however, has taken its auditing functions very seriously and is working assiduously to ensure that all societies are audited in a timely manner and in satisfaction of and with the legal requirements, including the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act, AML-CFT. Mr. Speaker, the requisite legal provisions dictate that each society, upon being audited, must make a contribution to a special fund called the Audit and Supervision Fund, which covers most of the costs for auditing and audit services provided to societies. For this year so far, a total of $31 million have been paid into that fund. In essence, sir, the auditing function, which is being executed by the Cooperative Department, serves to promote the integrity and transparency of societies. In the coming year, we will be intensifying this aspect of our mandate as we expand our program to revitalize the thrift societies among schools, the school system. So we are bringing back the schools thrift societies, which is vital to rekindling the spirit of thrift among school children. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Finance Minister has highlighted government's commitment to the rest of the world, and more particularly the CARICOM region, to fight against anti-money laundering and the financing of terrorism. And since cooperative societies and even friendly societies are susceptible to this type of illegal activities, the Commission of Cooperatives and the technical staff at the Cooperative Department are constantly engaged in training to equip them to meet with these challenges. Training officers and cooperators have been expanded to the administrative regions of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. Further, an effort to ensure the department is adequately staffed, an apprenticeship program for cooperative officers was initiated during the current year. This novel initiative has resulted in apprentices being drawn from regions 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And this program is a pilot, which is intended to be replicated many times over, all with the intention of making the cooperative movement the third most important and powerful economic force in our economy. The work of the Cooperative Department was ably supported by the GNCCUL, which is once again provided with a subvention to facilitate its services that it provides. I have no intention of highlighting in any detail the misery caused by corruption, which was evident in many large societies when we took office. However, with assistance of the Ministry of Legal Affairs and other stakeholders, we have embarked on a campaign to rid out such societies of dishonest elements. as we seek to re-educate and promote transparency and accountability. We have worked tirelessly to sanitize and regularize most of them, which are now functioning, and will soon be functioning above board. Mr. Speaker, the contribution of this cooperative department has made to the resuscitation of the co-op movement in this country is testimony to the effectiveness of public service delivery that hinges on the strength of our national institutions. This House can be fully assured that the Ministry of Social Protection will continue to deliver effective public service in the coming year. The need for amending our labor laws within the general scheme of our programs is imperative at this time, as Guyana expects an inflow of foreign business due in large measure to our newfound wealth. We have embarked on an update and an amendment to certain key labor legislation to synchronize them and with enlightened thinking and practices. These laws include the Labor Act, the Leave With Pay Act, the Termination of Employment and Severance Pay Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Cooperative Societies Act, the Friendly Societies Act, and the Schools Thrift Chapter 3604. Mr. Speaker, our most important piece of legislation is the Labor Act, Chapter 9801, which was first enacted in 1942. And even though it has undergone a series of piecemeal adjustments, it is still deficient in many ways. For example, the need for an employer to produce the requisite employment records at the ministry to facilitate a reasonable resolution of differences between himself and an aggrieved worker or ex-worker is not provided for in a compulsory basis, thereby making a thorough and complete investigation protracted and at times almost impossible. The mandate of the ministry is about fairness, justice, and equity, especially to the ordinary citizens who can be disadvantaged by a very powerful employer. But these values cannot be fully manifested within the scope of the current laws. It is therefore against that background that the Labor Act will be amended to provide for the compulsory submission of the necessary records to aid in the resolution of complaints for the benefit of the ordinary worker and towards the promotion of human development. Within the context of improved labor management relations, we have undertaken to establish either an industrial relations court or an industrial relations tribunal. Towards that end, the ministry has engaged major stakeholders who comprise the National Tripartite Committee, which is currently examining a proposed bill which should bring into existence either a court or a tribunal. The object of which would be to enhance labor management relations and ultimately the quality of life of all workers who should be able to experience a decent standard of work within their, better conditions within their workplace. Mr. Speaker, I now wish to divert our attention to occupational safety and health, which is the main pillar, a main pillar in our mandate. This House will recall that when we took office in 2015, we resolved to separate occupational safety and health unit from the industrial relations or labor department in pursuit of greater specialization of functions in both disciplines, industrial relations as well as against occupational safety and health. That separation or delinking was successfully completed, as a consequence of which the fulfillment of a mandate to investigate all accidents, especially those which result in fatality, is fully pursued. In fact, we have set ourselves a target of investigating all fatal accidents in a timely manner, something that we have so far been able to do. Mr. Speaker, our philosophy is to educate and sensitize all stakeholders, that is, employers and employees, so that workplace or industrial accidents can be minimized and possibly eliminated in the workplace. In pursuit of such an agenda, we continue to conduct workshops and seminars both at the ministry and at enterprise level with employees and with employers, our target audiences. Our training records reveal that for 2018, thus far, a total of 40 training activities have been done in specialized training in occupational safety and health. The specialized training in occupational safety and health was done against the backdrop of a national policy on occupational safety and health, which was recently completed. We propose to expand our sensitization and educational programs across the entire regions. I wish to emphasize that that policy was developed after wide-scale consultation with the main stakeholders and other interested parties, such as the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Fire Service, among others. Our research have shown that the Cooperative Republic of Guyana is the only CARICOM nation state with a policy document of this nature, and for which we therefore must be seen as a trendsetter worthy of emulation. Mr. Speaker, we are mandated to conduct safety inspection audits and investigations whenever and wherever an infraction of the occupational safety and health rules and regulations occur. And I must admit that we are very concerned with the number of workplace fatalities which have occurred in the mining sectors recently. Permit me to present the following statistics on industrial accidents for the year 2018. Total number of accidents, 506. Total number of fatalities, 19. This means that 3.75% of accidents resulted in the loss of life, while others resulted in the loss of time, and in some instances, the loss of a limb. This is an untenable situation, particularly in the mining industry, where the majority of fatalities occurred. In an effort to curb this situation, we have forged an alliance with the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, GGMC, the National Insurance Scheme, NIS, the Forestry Department, to better monitor unsafe work practices in remote areas. That alliance is now extended to include the Ministry of Natural Resources, and we shall include the offshore enterprises and those agencies involved in the aircraft industry. Mr. Speaker, our objective at the conclusion of every accident investigation is to provide guidance to employers who, including those who operate within the sphere of government, to take remedial action and preventative action. That apart, however, the ministry intends to conduct more workplace inspections in the hinterland area location so that safety and health would not be left to chance. We are constrained by the insufficient allocation of funds, but given the magnitude of the safety issues before us, creative ways and means would be developed in order that our agenda will be fulfilled even better. Mr. Speaker, a comprehensive menu of measures to harness the potentials of youth in our population is prescribed for the stimulation and maintenance of growth and development of the nation. In this regard, the work and contribution of the Board of Industrial Training stands out. The mandate of that board is to provide the nation with a constant supply of skilled labor in many areas of discipline, which will allow them to take their rightful place in our economic ventures. In 2018, that agency was allocated $294 million, which was used to provide training for almost 2,000 youths. In 2019, that amount is being increased to $353 million, which represents an increase of 20% in the budgetary allocation. This increase in expenditure will further realize government's commitment to advancing the empowerment of our young people. I wish to emphasize that our focus on youth and youth empowerment is not to be divorced from child labor. As a reminder, I'll once again call forth the remarks of the Honorable Minister of Finance, who at paragraph 4.16 said, and I quote, "Promoting the well-being of children and the fulfillment of children's rights must preoccupy any responsible nation, from the level of the policy maker to the public at large," end of quote. It is our preoccupation with the future of our youths and youth empowerment that has motivated us to develop a comprehensive policy to eliminate child labor. Mr. Speaker, the policy which we have developed is multi-dimensional and exhibits several guiding principles, objectives, and targets. One of those targets, which is long-term in nature, is the prevention and elimination of child labor in all its forms by 2025. Therefore, the budgetary allocation of $636 million for 2019 must be seen as an investment in the future of this nation. The elimination of child labor in conjunction with a focus on youth empowerment will yield astronomical benefits, not only to youths, but to all and sundry. We are reminded that prior to the ascension of office of the APNU-AFC coalition, government societal expenditure was pro-adult. But during the past 3 years, it has shifted to pro-child and pro-youth, and that itself is highly commendable. Be assured that the Ministry of Social Protection will continue to work towards the implementation and the prevention of child labor policy, as well as observance of the provisions of the ILO conventions which impact child labor. That policy commenced with the collaboration between the Ministry of Social Protection and UNICEF, which renewed and generated a synthesis of all the laws which impact child labor. Those laws, which are 18 in number, include the National Constitution, the Protection of Children Act, the Employment of Young Persons and Children Act, and the Education Act, to name a few. Our challenges in the field of child labor is located on the same platform, which the challenges to trafficking in persons, and we have made great strides in both areas. As a matter of fact, just last week, a team from the Ministry of Social Protection, with our legal officer and technical officers, traveled to Letem and prosecuted a perpetrator for this form of crime. That was an indicator of the collaboration between the Department of Labor and the Trafficking in Persons Unit. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the matrix of legislations that was mentioned before, I wish to remind this House that our government has ratified ILO Convention 182, which provides for the elimination of the worst form of child labor, as manifested through all aspects of child labor prevention initiatives. I find it, however, Mr. Speaker, I find it extremely difficult to avoid reiterating that this budget is about human development, manifested through several avenues. Of those avenues is wages and salaries. Advancement in such an area ranges between 0.5% and 7% for the year 2018. This, Mr. Speaker, once again fits into the sliding scale of formula of wages and salaries increases, which gives rise to greater equity amongst the nation's workers, as against the customary 5% which was imposed across the board by the previous administration for decades. This translates to a daily or monthly public sector increase of being $2,537 or $64,200 respectively per month. The relevant records show that the 1st of January 1993, the comparative rate was $191.59 per day, or $19,344 per month. In 2014, which is the year before we took office, the monthly minimum was $42,703, which means that it took the previous administration 23 years to adjust wages and salaries 21 times, and translated into an aggregate increase of 120% over that period of time. However, it must be noted, sir, that in a matter of 3 years, we have moved the minimum wage from $42,703 to $64,200, which is 50.34%, which our government's commitment has even gone up, given the promise to even increase more next year. In 2015, the threshold was 600,000. In 2017, our government took it to 660,000, a 10% increase of the threshold. In 2018, we took it to $720,000, a 9% increase. In the currently 2019 year, it's been taken to $780,000, an 8.33% increase. This period of time shows that in 3 years, have taken the threshold up by 30+% above. Mr. Speaker,
I remember you have 5 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, but this increase surpasses the 150% increases awarded to members of parliament, which is for a 5-year span. It means that statistically, it will take the present government no more than 6 years to increase wages by 100%. That, Mr. Speaker, must be the most welcome period of increases for workers. We are committed to increasing the workers' wages, and increase, we just told you, 780,000 tells you a lot. The direct increases also in wages is not the only benefit to be enjoyed by the public sector workers. The income threshold has been shifted upwards, up to 780,000. This is estimated to give you a disposable income of $805 million. Certainly, no reasonable thinking person would attempt to deny such measures translate into giving back to the people of this country what we have promised. Mr. Speaker, the impact of the budget measures on our children, our youths, and our workers cannot be denied. Specifically, for the various initiatives and we have earmarked for the empowerment of our youth, $1.7 billion has been allocated in 2019. Our senior citizens also are happy. We have shown an improvement in the infrastructure. The Palms Institution and homes for the vulnerable have had an increase of over $11 million in improvements. Old age pensions have been increased from $19,000 to $20,500. Public assistance are being increased from $8,000 to $9,000 per month. With these benefits, an additional $800 million will end up in the pockets of our senior citizens. Looked at from a comprehensive basis, old age pension and public assistance has therefore been increased by 55% and 53%, respectively, since this government has taken office. The budget preparations, which is predicated on a stable industrial relations climate, has been increased in the past 3 years. From our data between 2015 and 2018, the number of strikes which threatened the macroeconomic stability of our country has declined from 193 to 35, or has declined by 81%. Certainly, there are now fewer strikes, but less, and also with less persons participating in them.
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
While in 2015, the average man-days lost in strikes was 363 man-days per strike. The significance of industrial relations climate being stable today cannot be denied. In conclusion, I wish to submit the entire amount of $633 million represents a 90% increase on the estimates over 2018. It is our intention to continue discharging our mandate in all our areas that we have identified, as well as to develop new initiatives that will be necessary in support of this budget. I wish to emphasize that once again, collective bargaining and grievance procedures are critical to the maintenance of a stable industrial climate. And this is why Minister Jordan has said for public servants, he will be engaging them in further discussion. I wish to also emphasize and to reaffirm once more my support and the support of my comrades for the budget and its measures, which has been designed to take our country forward in a continuous basis from 2015 to now and beyond. Thank you very much.